Hi, I'm George, founder of Zola Analytics. Zola is a financial data platform and AI research assistant for anyone analyzing economies, industries, companies, and securities. Our goal is to help you move from question to evidence to publishable analysis really fast. In this video, I'll show you Zola in action. We'll start with a macro question, build some charts, create a research report, and then turn the work into something ready to share. So for any analyst, one problem you face is finding the information you need fast, but also not getting overloaded by the endless news, notes, PDFs, and models that get sent your way. That's one of the problems that Zola was designed to solve. So this is Zola. The first thing I do when I open it up in the morning is to get my personalized morning briefing. Zola knows the topics I care about, so it pulls together the news, data, and market moves that are most relevant to me. Zola also has connectors that give it access to all of the research I subscribe to, and I can customize it too. So if, for example, I want to look at Korean stocks, I can make sure it consults my favorite Korean equity analysts before it synthesizes its answers. Okay, here's my morning briefing. A couple of things stand out here. The first is the gap between credit market and equity market sentiment, but this repricing of rate cuts over the last month is the one that catches my eye. Polymarket's probability of a September cut has fallen to 12% from 38% a month ago, and short-term interest rates are now pricing around 15 basis points of hikes by year end. So let's ask, is US inflation persistent enough to threaten rate cuts? Zola will now approach this like a rates analyst. It will look for the relevant data, pull together all the evidence, and then come back with an assessment. Cool. Okay, so based on that, seems like there's a fair argument to make that inflation is looking pretty persistent. Let's get it to build some charts on this. Zola has two chart modes, Explore and Command. Command is when we ask it to build something specific, like give me a scatter plot of French unemployment versus inflation, but Explore is more open-ended, and it uses that when we want charts on a particular topic, like now. Explore will do two things. First, you can see this carousel at the top. These are existing golden charts from Zola's library or research that's getting published on the platform that could help analyze the question. Then underneath, Zola has come up with its best ideas for new charts. It will then validate these ideas, make sure that the data is available and they are possible to construct. Then the user can choose which ones they want to build. Okay, you can see it's now constructing this chart, and if I now click on it, I'll get taken to the editor. So this is the editor. Now, one really important thing about the charts that Zola creates is that while LLMs are used inside the systems that produce them, the charts themselves are completely deterministic. You can see the inputs, the sources, the metadata, and then the transformations that turn the raw data into the final output. And that matters because if you're publishing analysis, you need to know exactly what happened to the data. Zola is designed to make that completely transparent. So let's go back to the analysis. Given the repricing in short rates, I want to look at how the whole yield curve has changed over the past month using Zola's chart command mode. Zola currently has 21 chart types and variations, including market-specific ones like candlesticks and yield curves. We're back in the chart editor. So here, I can change the data, adjust the design, and add annotations. If I want to fine-tune every detail, I can, but most of the time, I'll just apply a house theme and avoid spending time on formatting. In this case, I think it would be helpful to add a panel that shows how the curve has moved. That makes it clearer. Interest rates have risen across the curve, but the largest rise has been around the 3 to 4 year point. I'm going to share this with a colleague because he may want to use it later. Okay, back to our analysis. So the charts are helpful, but I want a more complete written view. So I'm going to use Zola's deep research function. What's driving the recent acceleration in US inflation, and how should I think about Fed policy from here? This will take a minute, so I'll start it now and let it run while we keep going. In the meantime, I noticed in the briefing earlier that John Williams, who's the president of the New York Fed, is speaking later today. I've asked Zola to summarize recent Fed speeches. Okay, useful. Williams seems to be leaning towards holding rates higher for longer. I'll save his speech to my reading list so I can come back to it later. Now let's check on the deep research report. It's finished running, and we can see the report preview here. It breaks down the drivers of inflation acceleration, Energy and shelter are the biggest contributors. Further down, it covers monetary policy and labor markets. Let's open it. So this is the writer. You'll notice this banner is saying the report is evidence-backed. That means that Zola has reviewed all the claims in the report and checked the supporting evidence, whether that evidence comes from data, facts, documents, or news. Let's open reviewer mode. It's showing me what may be out of date and what looks weakly sourced. From here, I can refresh the evidence or improve the section. So for example, I could take a report from last month and update it with the latest data. You'll also see citations throughout the piece. This Phillips curve section links back to Zola data and to a speech from John Williams. The writer is a markdown editor, where reports can be exported to Word or PDF, or published as articles directly through the platform. This isn't only for deep research. A team can use this space to produce and collaborate on documents and add charts, tables, scenario matrices, and other elements into the work. Okay, back to the analysis. So we've got some good charts so far, but I'd like to see more. I'm going to get Zola to build us a chart pack. So this is the chart pack studio. It makes it really easy to build slide decks from analysis. Like charts and reports, the slides can be themed so they match the style that you want. One of my favorite features is refresh. When I was an analyst, I spent loads of time updating chart packs every month, replacing data, rebuilding slides, fixing formatting. Here, I can create the deck once and then refresh the charts when the data changes. Now I want to think about what this inflation backdrop might mean for stocks. Okay, that's helpful. Now let's turn that into a screen. So Zola has built a screen for inflation-resilient companies. If I click into it, I'm taken to the market's desk. This is the data terminal, where you can analyze assets across markets. On the company side, Zola has deep global coverage of equities from about 80 exchanges. From here, I can start looking through the names in the screen. Let's take Broadcom as an example. I can look at performance, earnings, financials, and news, and then use Zola to help me form a view. For now, I'll just add it to my watch list. Now I want to take what we've done today and turn it into something that I can share. So for that, we want to go to the research platform. This is where you can access all of the research being published on the platform, both by users and all of Zola's deep research. We want to make it really easy for anyone to take the analysis they're doing and publish it. We have two published products, a blog, and this takes care of all hosting, newsletters, management, and monetization. And then we also have a full stack investment portal. And this allows users to build a multi-publication research business on the platform, agentize their research, which gives their clients a completely new user experience, full compliance and review pipelines, CRM integration, and the ability to sell their data through the platform too. For today, I'm just going to use the social hub to turn this conversation into a LinkedIn post. So I'll select our conversation as the source, and then Zola will use that as inspiration for generating a LinkedIn post. Okay, so we've got a first draft. It's not quite ready yet, but it's a good starting point. I can save it and pass it on to someone else on the team to review. So that's a quick look at Zola. We started with a question from the morning briefing, investigated the data, built charts, created a research report, generated a chart pack, screened for stocks, and turned the analysis into something publishable, all in under 10 minutes. That's the workflow that we care about, from question to evidence to output, much faster and with much more transparency. If you'd like to try Zola, you can book a free trial now at zolaanalytics.com.